going on in the world. Just coming live here. I'm at Harvey Mudd's campus. I just got done eating and I was listening to a phenomenal audio by Tony Robbins. If you don't know who that is, I'll put a link in the description or something like that to like give you guys an idea of who he is. But basically, he's a very phenomenal psychologist type person, and he just basically like tells people, gives them advice on how to live their lives. And what I was listening to particularly today was his concepts on what wealth is. And I wanted to come here today because like I just have like a lot of thoughts in my mind. Sometimes I don't know how to process all of it, but this is a good practice for me to let them out myself so I can have a more clear sense and to allow other people to get an insight on what I think about on a day-to-day basis. Because what I find too commonly, excuse me, is that especially in this college realm, there's millions of kids, and because there's so many culture stigmas attached to what college is, drinking, the partying, getting fucked up, constantly having hangovers, doing some sick fucked up shit. Excuse my language for that, but this is just the reality of things. And people like myself, people that think like me or have many thoughts or deep pondering thoughts about life and finding more meaning, they get diminished by the college atmosphere. Now, disclaimer right now, I'm not bashing college in any shape, way, form, whatever. All I'm saying is that the Constitution, what constitutes the college experience, although not typically said in paper and writing from the college institutions themselves, it exists. There's a culture that exists on kids making this the best 4 years of their life. You know, getting partying, shit faced, whatever, you name it. And then for them, life is supposed to stop right after that. Now, me personally, I don't think I want to make these my best 4 years of my life. I want to make these 4 years start my next 70 off the right way. And so that way I can live my next 70 like I want to and live it the best way. And people just get knocked down with the idea of doing something different to go get yourself to that point because it seems a little crazy. And I read something else the other day about talking about, crazy people, about how people have crazy ideas to make things happen. And it's funny. It's funny when people knock down crazy people. I'm here right now to tell you crazy people are the people that make this world work right now. And I'll use a very classic example. The Wright brothers. Back when they had this crazy idea, maybe, of man flying on a machine, like a scrap of metal flying across oceans. In that time period, people thought that was crazy, but where are we today? If we want to go across the country from LA to New York or anywhere else in the world, we're flying there. And today it seems normal, but back then the idea seemed very crazy. And it baffles me that people kind of know this, but they're not aware of like the implications of what to take away from that. Yes, these guys did something very phenomenal to society. At the time, they were crazy about that. People thought they were insane. People laughed at them saying that, oh, this is not going to work out. And they didn't have a college experience. They didn't have like college education. They didn't have, the funds they wanted to do. They had a bike shop. They literally had a small little bike shop. Used all the proceeds from that to go build an empire that they wanted to make. Just to formulate an idea. Just to formulate the idea and put it into physical manifestations. And they did that. So when I use that example to myself and I remind myself like about what I'm currently doing, I just think back to that very same situation. Like, what would these guys do? Yet people called them crazy. People said it wouldn't work. People said this and that, being negative. And if you watch my previous video, I talked about, the challenges. People being negative, whatever you're thinking, that's always going to happen. You can't please everyone to get where you want to go in life. You have to please yourself first. And it's not to say that you have to be selfish, but you have to be selfish. And when I'm talking about being selfish, I mean doing what you have to do to satisfy yourself first. And then when you get that selfish fear situated, you don't go with overabundance, but yet you share that your experience with other people and allow them and show them that they can do that themselves too. And that is where fulfillment comes through. When people teach people how to live their lives, to better themselves, or at least give them, the guidance. And that's what I'm trying to do here today, with these videos I'm trying to release here. But I watched that video and he was talking about wealth. And usually when you hear about people that are wealthy, people usually attach it to some monetary value or they attach it to some, amount of land that they own. I mean, I'll just go right down into it. My best friend loves talking about this concept, but like the fact of like the U.S. dollar and like broken down like simply put is that the U.S. dollar is not really anything but a piece of paper. Back then, you can call the U.S. dollar money because the definition of money is or like what it was supposed to be is just it having like a value indistinguishable value that's backed, and the dollar was backed by gold up until we went off the gold standard. So now we just have currency, which is just basis paper saying that you can exchange this for whatever goods. The problem with this is that at any moment, any other country in the world can say that because you're not backed by anything, they were only going off beliefs that they can one day just believe that the U.S. dollar is worth crap, and then we can go right into a crap hole. And that's what he loves talking about a lot. But like the idea of that, let's take a lesson from that. It's all about belief. And what Tony Robbins was getting at was belief. And you know, the people always talk about like successful people. They always talk about if you want to, you can be rich working for someone else, but you'll never get wealthy if you don't own your own business or you're not doing your own thing. And that hits me, because I really think about it. I can be living in someone else's manifestation of what they would consider to be wealth, or I could build my own. If I would live in theirs, I'll only be rich financially, possibly. Maybe I may get like a nice fancy objects, but I'm always gonna want more. And why I'm gonna want more? Because I'm not really living for myself. I'm living for something else. So I need something to appease myself through that process of living for someone else. And the whole concept of wealth, when he was breaking it down with people, saying like, oh, what do you want money for? What do you want with money? People were saying like, I want to go please someone else. Now that's cool. He understood that completely, as everyone should. But if you're not really doing it to fulfill something of yourself first, what's the point? Because if you're living for someone else, they're always gonna want more. They're always just gonna keep wanting more. Someone said that they wanted like to be financially free so that they can, or they wanted like to acquire, they wanted to be wealthy, and their definition of wealthy was helping their husband get rid of his worries. Well, if you take care, well, you don't know what his worries are. One, two, worries are always going to come through. If he has to worry about one thing and you really resolve that, that's cool. It may temporarily fix something, but there's always going to be another one. So if you're always going to attempt to please your husband, then is that really going to leave you happy if he's not always satisfied? Because you will not truly be satisfied. And that's where the whole concept of wealth is. It's to satisfy yourself. What will you do? Wealth is defined by what you will do for yourself. That will free yourself up and live your life in peace. And that's his whole concept of that. Now, when he went to financial freedom, very basically he said, spend less than you earn, invest the difference, and when you have a big hit on your investment, reinvest it, for compounded growth. Now, on that stratosphere right there, I see a lot of people, and like, this is not like I don't mean to call out anyone at all. I love everyone just as the same. We're all human beings in this world. If you didn't love human beings, I think you would hate yourself. That's just a little side note. But what I see too commonly is people spending, and I'll keep the baseline, investing their money. I see people spending more money than they even actually have, and what's worse about that is that they're spending it on things that really don't matter. I know my mom once told me, because I really want to get a car, once I got my license, and the thing she told me was that, oh, you got to get a job, you should get a job, and I'm like, well, the economy's crap. Well, and like I didn't let that deter me. I'm just letting her know like it's gonna take me a lot like longer than the time frame I want to. So why can't you just like provide that for me? She said, well, if that's really a problem for you, why don't you just go into debt and go buy the car? Well, if I go into debt, I'm living in someone else's stratosphere. They have a piece of me. They have a piece of me, and just for a physical object, I'm not gonna have someone possess me. For monetary reasons, I'm not gonna let someone else possess me. So just like a classic example, I realized that like I'm not trying to have my body owned by someone else because I owe them something. And what I find too commonly is people do that in that same example with other things. Spending money they don't have to just buy game systems, to buy useless things, clothes that they don't even really need, shoes they really don't need. And that's a problem I see just all over the urban community. But I will not get into that in this video. But that's the first thing right there. And then the next thing is that just while spending money on things that don't really matter, when things do matter, the things that come into their lives by chance, or like it got attracted to them, as I like to say, for them to invest the money in something that will better themselves, they look at it with the skeptical eye. They write it off because they think they're good, and like that's perfectly fine if you are good at that moment. But it's to acknowledge the fact that you will not get any better without at least looking at it. And he mentioned that in the video like that I watched. He was just saying, it's better to have an informed view on everything before making your decisions. If you're just gonna go blindly and make a decision for whatever reason and you're not really fully informed on what you're getting yourself into, then you face the consequences of whatever it comes to, whether it's you're broke for the rest of your life, working 40 years of your life that you really don't want to get like a nice gold watch, and then retire with a 401k, which probably will not exist anymore. I don't want to get into that again, but these are the kind of things that I think about on a day-to-day basis when I'm carrying out my various activities. And yes, I understand that especially in college that it's cool to go out a little bit. It's cool to meet new people, and I like going out for that reason, and I don't do it too much because I don't want to get caught up in just partying just to party and celebrate nothing. Because really, when I really look at it, is that if I keep going out every weekend and I'm not bettering myself during that week to do something better for myself that will get me to where I want to go, then I'm really just partying and celebrating the fact that I'm broke and I'm going to be broke for the rest of my life. Now, I don't encourage people to, think like that, but that's the way I see it. And I mean, but some people will agree with me, some people won't. Oh well. But if I'm not getting where I want to go, I will look at that situation and say, all right, I should probably stop doing this. Things that are not getting me where I want to go, I will not take them there. And I give that same advice to everyone that has something. If you have something very dormant in you, if you're like my age, if you're around, like I'm about to turn 20 next month, if you're around that teenage sphere, early in your college years or even late in your college years, you're about to graduate, it's never too late for you. If you have something that you're really passionate about, I suggest you really go pursue it. And it doesn't have to be like a business or something that someone's already done. Because then maybe you can make it better than what they've done, or maybe you'll just try to recreate what they've done. You may not surpass them, you may. Hopefully you do. But regardless, that should not stop you from pursuing what you want to do, because I will tell you right now, I've gotten a little sense for it. If you're just working in someone else's passion and not your own, that will work for a little while to get you, some gratification of some sort. You're helping someone build them up. But really, they don't, like, no one will care about you more than you will care about yourself. He mentioned that when someone mentions their financial struggles to you, like someone says, like, oh, like, I lost $1 million or something. To me, I'm just like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And in my head, I'm like, wow, that's a lot of money. Like, crap. To them, that means like I'm so screwed. I'm about to foreclose my house. I really got to get myself out of this mess. And I will not look at it in the same sphere as that person. Now, I try to, just me being the person I am, but not many people will. So you have to really look out for yourself in that aspect of yourself. No one's going to care about you more than yourself. So why would you let yourself be in someone else's vision? It's okay if you want to be part of the vision for your own reasons, but don't be their reason. Don't just do it for them, because then you'll never be satisfied yourself. That's just a little rant on that. If you have something very dormant in yourself, guys, if you have an idea that you really are not sure about, or you want to manifest yourself, there is a population of people around you, more than you would believe, and even like I would like to believe, that there's people around you that probably think the same way you do, and they're just not ready to like go share their ideas out with people because they're so stuck in their stigmas or their social norms, as as I formally call it now. But that doesn't mean anything. Things can change just like this. Right now, as the video is being recorded, anything can change in my mind, anything. So why would anything be different for you? So go chase what you have to go chase, guys. You guys are God's highest form of creation. Live your life for yourself, and then from there help others to do it for themselves. But don't do it for them. Peace.